2024 is heating up, everybody. Another Republican candidate is entering the race for president of the United States. This time, a Republican out of California ran against Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom in the recall election not too long ago in California. But everybody, before we get to that, I'm Kev Phares, and you are watching Speechless. So last night, Larry Elder, if you guys don't know who Larry Elder is, you'll see him here in a second. Larry Elder entered the race for 2024 president. Really kind of an interesting pick to decide to run for president, especially as he has been a vocal supporter of former President Trump. But we'll see exactly what he has to say. Let's just let him talk about it himself. Kind of odd that he decided to go on Tucker Carlson to announce this, but I guess it is the most watched show in public or in cable news. So let's see what Larry has to say.
My announcement, Tucker, is that I'm announcing that I'm running for the presidency of the United States on your program. And thank you so much for giving me this honor and this platform. Of course. My website is elderforpresident.com, elderforpresident.com. And Tucker, the reason I'm doing this is because, you know, my father was a World War II vet. He served on the island of Guam. He was a Marine. First black Marines. They were called Montford Point Marines. My late older brother Kirk was in the Navy during the Vietnam era, and my little brother Dennis actually served in Vietnam in the Army. I'm the only one who didn't serve, and I don't feel good about that. I feel I have a moral, a religious, and a patriotic duty to give back to a country that's been so good to my family and to me, and that is why I'm doing this, Tucker.
So, and then we'll watch a little bit more about what he has to say, but let's first just talk about that in and of itself. So Larry Elder for president, he is very much, like he said, he feels like he's got an obligation, very similar pitch as to some other candidates in the race. But here is what, so he mentioned elderforpresident.com. I went to it, and this is why he says he's running according to his website. According to his website, America is in decline, but this decline is not inevitable. It is a choice made by detached and cynical politicians. As a California resident, I've seen firsthand how decades of Democrat rule have turned the Golden State for many into an unaffordable dystopia. I won't let them do the same to America. We can enter a new American golden age, but we must choose a leader who can bring us there, and that's why he's running for president. I'm Larry Elder, and we've got a country to save. That's what he says, and he talks a little bit about his priorities as well in the interview that he did on Tucker Carlson. But I want to talk about that first a little bit. So he's going on Tucker Carlson to announce that. Like I said, it is the most watched show in cable news, according to the ratings, outranks almost every other primetime news show at that, or it outranks all of them like combined, pretty much. It outranks all of them, period, but all of them combined as well. So it makes sense that he'd want to get a little bit of FaceTime, but it's interesting because I've also covered on this channel, and I can put those videos in the description or something, maybe in a playlist. But like Tim Scott, his announcement. And I've covered I've covered a lot about Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump. I'm going to do a little bit of work looking more into Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, all of them. There's other people that could be entering the race, Mike Pence. And I'm going to cover all of it. But from the ones that I've seen so far, going on Tucker Carlson to do it, I don't know how Vivek announced, to be fair. But like Tim Scott the other day made this really pretty ad. Same with Nikki Haley. She made a really pretty ad to announce their exploratory committees or presidential, depending on which one you're talking about. Or their campaigning specifically. But so to go on Tucker Carlson, here's the thing that I kind of think happens a lot of times when it comes to presidential races is that there's two things. First, I think that some people run not necessarily I think for all of these cases, people run not with the care of actually wanting to be president. You know, they don't run necessarily thinking like, oh, yes, I'm going to win. But they run because there's some kind of exposure that they want. I think in the case of possibly Larry Elder, but highly likely with Vivek Ramaswamy, is they just see it as a win-win-win possibility. They could, A, actually somehow win the presidency, which a lot of people don't predict, but they could actually do that. Hey, they get the presidency, they get the power. They could, B, get possibly picked for a cabinet position and increase their power and standing that way, or as like the vice president. That's what happened with Kamala Harris in 2020. Is that she was running an awful campaign, terrible campaign, got picked up by Joe Biden because she fit the mold of a black woman, and he wanted that to try to appeal to a different voter base. That was her goal, or that was the goal of having her on there. But moving forward from that, so it could be that. It could also be to just increase household name recognition, period. I mean, so Larry Elder is a conservative commentator. Vivek Ramaswamy, conservative commentator. They obviously would benefit from having more people know who they are, finding some new followers, some new people to find their content and make more money off of it. Now, I don't want to call these people opportunists. I think that I think Larry Elder's a great politician or a great option in terms of his opinions. I agree with pretty much all of them. But all I'm saying is that I don't think because a lot of people ask, like, well, what do they like? I mean, Trump's in the race. DeSantis. It seems like the race right now is Trump v. DeSantis. Yes, everything could change. Back in 2016, everybody thought Jeb Bush was going to win, right? So everybody thought that. So everything could change. And so I don't think that anybody's running with the intention of saying, I'm not going to win. There's no chance. But I do think that a lot of people see it as, well, I probably won't win, but look at all these other good things that could come from it too. And that's answering the question that I often hear of, like, why does anybody else even believe that they have a chance? But let's hear a little bit more about what Larry has to say about his candidacy and what he sees as priority issues and such.
Well, that's amazing. Congratulations. It's a big decision to make. I'm very familiar with your views. I think I agree with all of them pretty much. But if you were to narrow it down, just pick one or two, the issues that are animating you, that are making you feel like you've got to put everything on hold and do this. What are they?
Well, aside from the obvious things about the borders I mentioned before, the crime, the maligning of the police, there are a couple of things that I think our side does not spend enough time talking about. And that is the lie, the absolute disgraceful lie that the Democrats put on everything, which is that America is systemically racist. And it isn't just a lie, Tucker. It's having real consequences. The police are pulling back. It's called the Ferguson effect or the George Floyd effect. And the people who are harmed by that are the very black and brown people that people on the left claim they care about. There's been a study that shows hundreds, if not thousands of people are now dead because the police are not engaging in proactive policing because they've been demoralized by people calling them racist. The second thing, Tucker, is the 10,000-pound elephant in the room regarding all of this stuff we see in Chicago and some of these other cities with these mass mobs is the lack of fathers in the home. Right now, today in America, 40% of all kids enter the world without a father in the home married to the mother, 70% in the black community, 50% of Hispanics, 25% of whites. Now, that's the same percentage as was the case of blacks back in 1965. The question we should be asking ourselves is, how do we go from having 25% of black kids entering the world in 1965 without a father in the home, married to the mother, to 70% today? And the answer is the welfare state. We've incentivized women to marry the government. We've incentivized men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. And if I do nothing else in this race but focus people on those two issues, I would have performed a service to my country.
I definitely think that those issues are worth talking about. But here's the thing that he kind of says. So he starts off by saying he needs to dispel the lie that America's racist. This is almost exactly what Tim Scott is basically saying. This is almost exactly what Tim Scott is saying about his race, is that he is an African American in the race, and as a Republican, when everything that was pushed in 2016 to 2020 was that Republicans and Donald Trump are racist. Obviously, we're not, because we got Larry Elder, we got Tim Scott. We got, I don't know if Ben Carson's running, but like, he was a presidential candidate in 2016. And so what they're trying to say is that we don't fit the mold that the left frames us as, so we'd be a good pick based on the identity politics game. Not a bad sell, but it can't be your only point. And he kind of makes that his only point, Larry does, because then he goes into issues that are traditionally thought of as issues primarily in black communities, fatherlessness being a big one. And yes, he even mentions that 25% of white families also have fatherlessness, and it's because of the welfare state. And we need to stop incentivizing the lack of fathers in the home. It's definitely something we need to look at. But again, he's selling himself as, I'm the black candidate. I want to know more of what he has to say as to why he'd make a good president, because right now it just sounds like the same things that I hear from any other black candidate running as a Republican, is that they focus primarily on black issues. We got to know what else you stand for. We got to know. Great race. He ran a great race against Gavin Newsom in California. We all know that California is kind of close to a lost cause. I live in Illinois. I know what a lost cause looks like. So let's just wait and see. But right now, again, your race cannot be the only thing that defines you in this race. Everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this, ring the notification bell, all that stuff. Catch me live on Sundays from 3 to 5. I will be back with more Speechless on YouTube and on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Talk to you later.